Well, hey folks, how's it going there? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. We've got a really special live show for you uh, today. This is actually a really interesting case. I only found out about this about a week ago from a friend of mine in high school. You've heard about the Hudson Valley UFO, right? And this is a channel here where we talk about UFOs and all sorts of interesting related subjects. And I was just back in New York, and I was with a high school friend named Dominic, and he mentioned that there had been a sighting of that infamous Hudson Valley UFO by people from our high school. Vinny, who we're going to talk to in a second, the wrestling coach, Vinny Wims, and 7 of my classmates. So this all happened while I was there in high school. I'm only hearing about it now, 40 years later. Isn't that incredible?
So, yeah, you're making me old, Doc.
Yeah. So Vinny, why don't you go ahead and just go ahead. So what we're gonna do, folks, we couldn't get Vinny onto the YouTube broadcast directly. I'm just gonna hold the mic up to the phone to the mic here. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, Vinny?
Yeah, my name is Vincent Wims. I'm a retired United States Postal letter carrier for 31 years. I was a teacher, a phys ed teacher, certified in New York from the State University of Rockport. I coached wrestling, football, and I'm a martial arts master, very high ranked closed door student of Grandmaster William Chung. I've been to China 3 times. I'm very, very skilled in martial arts, and my eyes are very good, even at the age of 63. So what I saw, I will talk about endlessly. And
Vinny,
Dr. Simeon will ask me any questions he wants about it.
Vinny, Dominic introduced you as his martial arts instructor. Is that correct? Did he train with you?
I'm called Sifu Vin. He calls me Sifu Vin.
He referred to you as Sifu Vin, so that's a grandmaster in...
Sifu, no, that's not a grandmaster. Sifu just means master. Mm-hmm. I am a Sifu in Tai Chi Chuan and Wing Chun.
I see. Oh, good. I studied Tai Chi for a while. I learned.
And I also was a brown belt in Kyokushinkai at the age of 16 before I switched over to karate. Mm-hmm. I mean kung fu, sorry. But all martial arts are good. I don't downgrade any martial art. My path just went a certain way, and I got very involved with the internal arts. Luckily, at a young age, I was very interested in Tai Chi Chuan because I was interested in Aikido because I just needed it for my own temperament at the time.
Right.
And,
yeah. So
it got me into very, very spiritual things and very good for me. It calmed me down immensely. And,
right.
The training for the eyes is just incredible as well, too. Folks, if you don't know what Wing Chun is, traditional Wing Chun, and I don't want to talk about martial arts all the time on here, but traditional Wing Chun is probably one of the only martial arts in the world that trains the eyes. And they become very sharp. And my teacher, Grandmaster William Chung, is world renowned for his punches per second. You can see that on YouTube. He still has the world record, and he trained Bruce Lee, and I was lucky enough to train with my other students. Master Keith Mazza in New Jersey is probably the top in the world right now. Just a bevy of top martial artists. My Sifu Gary Young is incredible. He's a doctor, a chiropractor, and his brother Joel is a minister and a doctor and a chiropractor, and a well-renowned internal martial artist in Texas. So I was very blessed with my trainings, both internally and externally.
And who was your teacher again, Vinny? Who trained you?
My teacher, my Sifu was Dr. Gary Young.
Dr. Gary Young. Okay.
I also trained with Grandmaster William Chung. I trained longer in Wing Chun with Grandmaster William Chung with Master Keith Mazza.
Got it.
I became a full master instructor.
Okay.
The Grandmaster Wing Chun.
Oh, thanks. We'll look for some of those videos. Thanks. I've
not a problem. They're on YouTube.
Good.
And a lot of them.
Yeah. Well, we're really honored to have you here today, and
I'm honored to talk to you, Doc. You're a good friend of my friend Dominic, and Dominic has been asking me all kinds of questions about this, and he reminded me of this, and I didn't know that I was one of the first sightings, and probably the first sighting.
Yeah, now the Hudson Valley UFO. You and I actually were at the same high school at the same time. It turns out, because you were the wrestling coach, right? And you were coaching
Edgemont.
Edgemont High School.
My first varsity wrestling coaching job was I was blessed to work at the beautiful Edgemont High School in Westchester County with a bunch of beautiful kids that really trained hard. And we had nothing. We had like the budget was so low, and I tried to give those kids some sense of pride and development. And they worked very hard. They're great kids. I love them to this day. And
some of those kids were friends of mine from my high school class. Isn't that right? I guess we won't mention their names on the air. We haven't talked to them if they're okay about it. But
no problem. But I know I can say one first name, Dougie, is
Dougie.
He's still to this day. He says it was the scariest thing he ever saw in his life.
Scariest thing.
Yeah.
And there was another guy named Cliff, right? Cliff and Dougie are two people that I knew who are
And I was fascinated, and I was older than. Of course, I was in my 20s. These high school kids, not even 18 yet, young. And some were juniors, sophomores, young kids, real good kids. So smart, very intelligent. Because Edgemont was a very high level, very scholastically, that whole area, Scarsdale, Ardsley, New York at that time, very well known for scholastic achievements. So the kids were very, very intelligent, very smart.
And I have to tell you, Vinny, I was actually on the debate team while you were coaching wrestling. So that's
it's okay. That's all right. And the mind works in funny ways,
Yeah.
Some people develop through physical attainment. Some develop through mental attainment. Hey, Doc, I was so lucky. I went to Ardsley High School. I don't know if anybody knows about Ardsley High School, but there's a pretty famous person in the world now that went to Ardsley High School, and he created Facebook. Enough said.
That's right. That is right. He went to Ardsley High School. Mark.
Yeah, if you see the movie about him, he's wearing an Ardsley Panthers sweatshirt.
Right. That was called the Social Network.
I graduated from Ardsley High School. I'm very blessed because I think there's some really talented. Some of the best musicians I ever met came out of Ardsley High School. I'm complimented to be called one of them, but guys that played for the Psychedelic Furs professionally. Some are teaching in Berkeley School of Music.
Mm-hmm.
Drummers, I know Bobby Leonard. Just it was a great school for me. We had a really good wrestling team, one of the best in Westchester.
Got it.
Real great coach named Vincent Caravaglio. If he's still out there alive, I love you, and I hope everything's well. And these are the people that got me into teaching because they were such good teachers.
So, Vinny, can you take us back to these events? You already said that Dougie's.
I did some research myself. It was called the Marinac Tournament. It was an open tournament. It wasn't a shoreline tournament. I did have kids go to the shoreline tournament when I coached in Hastings, but this was the Mamaroneck tournament, and it was like the first tournament to get young wrestlers' feet wet to the competition for like the states and later on the all counties and divisionals. It was a setup. And it was
so it's a wrestling tournament that you're taking the Edgemont High School team to.
It was called the Mamaroneck Tournament.
Mamaroneck. This is a neighboring town to Scarsdale Edgemont area.
White Plains, Mamaroneck, it goes down the line. I don't know, Pelham, whatever the line of travel is along Mamaroneck Avenue from White Plains. That's the line of travel. Now, on this, folks, I wish I could remember the date fully, but I know it was a Saturday.
It was a Saturday.
I believe.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it was a Saturday. And this day, I believe it was in January, it may have been February, but I know it was early in the season, and the kids weren't in top shape yet. Because wrestling starts in December in high school at the time. I believe this is 79 or 1980. But there is an article in the old Reporter's Dispatch that will document the date. And I have friends doing research on it, lawyers that went to Ardsley High School and are friends online, and a family actually. And I don't want to mention the name, but Karen had seen the article and reminded me of it when I saw them at a family gathering. And
so this is a news
high school reunion.
Yeah.
And she put the article up to some friends because they were asking about me if they see me and stuff.
This is the article about your sighting, right? That was reported by the local.
Because the movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind had just come out recently.
Yeah.
Within years of this sighting, it was Encounters of the Weird Kind. I guess they thought that was, I guess they thought it was a cliche. But I'm coming out after the tournament. I'm tired. My kids are tired. I had a splitting headache the whole day. Don't ask me why, but I had it was a headache that wouldn't go away, which I don't usually have. I'm in really good shape. But I can tell you this, I've been into the subject of UFOs and studying just as a kid, always fascinated by them. But I also, for some reason, I knew about the cattle mutilations because I guess those newspapers at the time, like the Inquirer and everything, they were really like, a lot of them were very bogus. But Linda Moulton Howe, did some really prominent research, and I saw an article on cattle mutilations way back in the 60s, and I was probably in high school, junior high school at the time, and it shocked me what I saw. And I did a lot of research, but I never saw a UFO or anything like that. I never thought I'd ever see one, but I did read on all those books every kid did back then. On ESP, Kreskin, all kinds of stuff. It was the 60s. We were fascinated, but I was never into drugs. Never took hallucinogenics. Never took any. Always stayed, clean, and tried to do the best I could physically. And in sports, I didn't really excel at any sport because I was too small to play football, and I was very light and lanky to wrestle. But I wrestled at Westchester Community College, and later I wrestled on a state. Believe it or not, I came from losing practically every match throughout high school and almost community college. I won a few, but I wrestled on a national championship team at the State University of New York at Brockport in 1976.
So this event takes place, to your best of your knowledge, 1979. You guys are coming out of a wrestling tournament. Yeah,
we're coming out, and I'm looking. The kids are looking, and there's a huge, tremendously sized triangle that's not flashing lights, not doing anything but looks like it's floating and no noise. And I'm looking at that, and I'm always looking up the skies anyhow, because there were sightings of UFOs at the time, and they were supposedly testing cloud formations. and these orange clouds would appear in the sky every now and then. They were testing. There were bursts from sonic booms and all kinds of stuff going on back then. But at this time, I was looking, and I saw this thing. I said, "This is huge. What is this?" And it was floating down. I don't know where these people are from that are listening, but it was coming from the direction from New York City. It was coming north, like it would be going up to the Hudson Valley. Now, where it came from, I didn't see. It came west from Connecticut area to Sound area, but it was flying. It wasn't flying. It was floating, at a very slow speed, and it was the most brilliant. I'll never forget to this day. It's been this many years. A triangle on the left side, green, red on the right, and yellow on top, and just floating. Well, I'm looking at it, and it's over our head of the Mamaroneck High School. It's a huge parking lot, and I'm knocking on windows. I said, "Do you see this up there?" And the guy, I thought, was the father of one of the other wrestlers' kids and stuff like that. I said, "Do you see this up there?" He goes, "Oh, that's a plane." I go, "No, it's not a plane. That's not a plane. You don't have a camera? Does anybody have a camera that might have taken pictures of the kids wrestling or anything like that?" I'm trying to get people to witness this in the parking lot. My kids are watching it, and they're like, everybody is agog. I mean, just aghast. What is this? So these lights, they are over our parking lot, and I'd say I'm not a good judge of height, but I have jumped out of a plane, and this thing had to be no more than 1,600 feet up in the air.
Mm-hmm.
That's close. Maybe a little higher, but I didn't see anything but a different shade of the gray sky that was there that night. The stars weren't out. It was cloudy. So this thing stood out like it was camouflage. But it was a flatter black or gray than the sky behind it. That I did know. But it was a triangle. And all of a sudden, these lights dissipated. I'd say it took 10 to 15 seconds. And those lights disappeared. Another 15 seconds, the sky lit up. And it was an octagon. It was two lights on top, all brilliantly lit gold, the brightest lights that I've ever seen besides the sun.
Mm-hmm.
Brighter than the moon, and two on top, two to the right, two to the left, two on bottom. They appeared, lit up everything, and I'd say that was that's pretty good. My memory's pretty good. I'd say that was about 20 seconds at the most.
Vinny, are the kids watching it too at this point?
Oh yeah, they were like, "What is this?" They were like, their mouths were dropped. So, I got their attention and said, "Look at this," and they stood by me. They were almost hugging me. That's how, they wanted to be around their coach. I guess I was kind of an intimidating, tough guy back then, but I was trying to assure them, this is okay, guys. This is all right. They knew I was really, kind of spiritual,
Yeah.
And really, but I said, "Listen, come on, let's get together here." And those lights dissipated.
They dissipated over 10 or 15 seconds, you say, kind of like.
It looked like they were almost like they were a cloud that just went away.
Mm-hmm.
But they weren't clouds. They were lights. And this thing must have had a shape, but it couldn't see it. Couldn't see it. It was almost like the triangle flipped, and I saw the bottom of it. And those lights might have been on the bottom, but other people might have seen, but I didn't. All I saw was the triangle. Or, what I didn't see came back into this, whatever it was, the lights. But I didn't see any other lights come. I just saw those lights shine there. Then, after that, the original triangle appears.
Mm-hmm.
And the same lights. And what does it do? It stays there and goes slowly down towards New York City. Changes direction, but slowly.
Slowly.
Very slow.
Mm-hmm.
It's drifting. Now, I'll tell you the good part later, but it's drifting and drifting, going towards New York City. All of a sudden, and the 7 kids will corroborate this, I know, because everybody, two, and I believe they were F-15s. I had to look up what time, they were Phantom jets, because they were moving, and they followed this. As soon as they came from the sky and were coming after this triangle took off towards New Jersey. Now, I know New Jersey because I lived there for 31 years. So it must have went over the Hudson. It was still there, and then it disappeared faster than anything I've ever seen in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't, I don't know where the jets went afterwards. If they still followed it, chased it, but they chased it to New Jersey. That I do know.
Mm-hmm.
So I immediately wanted to get oak tag and draw a picture of it to remind me of what we saw. And I wanted all the kids with me. We all sat down, and I drew. I tried to get the time frame and everything of what I saw. I went to one of the kids' houses, and he told his parents, he was like, "This is what we saw, Dad." He was on, I guess it was on the phone or whatever, and this is what we saw. And I got oak, I got magic markers, and I drew what I saw. I wish I knew what happened to that oak tag. I don't have it, but I drew it out, and I went to the Pelham police station.
Yeah.
And I said, I want to report a sighting. I said, did anybody report lights in the sky around here? Did anybody see anything? Did any of you guys, police officers, see lights in the skies? This is what I saw. I drew it out, and I want to make a report. I said,
right,
I don't,
right.
I never saw anything like this. And I said, I've seen a lot of stuff in my life, but I never seen anything like this. To this day, I never saw anything like that. As far as objects flying in the sky, it was incredibly big. It was incredible the way it moved. I wasn't scared. I was more fascinated and more. I didn't even think of fear. Maybe I should have, but this thing was not of this earth. That's all I can tell you. But when I went to the police station, they always, crackpot, to be one of the sergeant, desk sergeants, and whoever the, I guess, dispatcher. They're giving me the highbrow.
Yeah.
And then I tell them the story. I tell them I'm a wrestling coach. I'm a college graduate going for my master's. I worked at Carter McCluskey, and I coach wrestling at Edgemont High School. I'm their coach. I said I know what I saw. My eyes are very good. I'm a pretty credible witness. And after I gave him all the information, they were trying to call me. He goes, well, Mr. Wims, the funny thing is, and this is a quote from the police officer, I wish I knew what his name is. He was in Pelham. He was a sergeant. It was, Mr. Wims, you were absolutely correct in the time of what you saw and everything, because it was a total blackout in 4 towns.
Wow. Was Pelham one of the towns that had the blackout?
One of the towns, Mount Vernon, New Rochelle, Bronxville.
Got it. Got it.
And I think part of Yonkers.
At the exact same time that you had the sighting?
Yeah. 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 I didn't notice at the time. I mean, I didn't get in my car to see if it started or not or anything like that. I was outside. I was in the parking lot. I was trying to take this in. I just wish I had a camera.
Yeah. Well, this is 1979. I mean, we didn't have cell phone cameras back then, did we?
No, and 2 people had video cameras, to tell you the truth. And the camcorder was there, but still photos.
Yeah.
But even still photos of this object would have been great. But I do have my recollection and my memory.
Vinny, did the police at Pelham, the Pelham Police Department, did they mention anything about cars stalling?
Yes, they did.
They said that cars had.
I guess they didn't go into full detail.
Mm-hmm.
But they said, I just kind of left, and an article in the newspaper. Lo and behold, I think the next day or 2 days after. I'll tell you, I was working at the New York School for the Deaf as a security guard and coaching, because I couldn't get I was waiting for. I was a substitute teacher. I couldn't get a full-time phys ed teaching job because it was very, at that time, teaching jobs were tough to come by.
Right.
Especially right out of college. So I was working with kids. No matter what, I was working with kids because that's what I wanted to do. And the police officers didn't really go into that detail, but I heard there were cars stopped. I don't know if there were any accidents or anything, because that's how busy that road is. You live in New York. There was always traffic there. But I heard there were cars pulled over watching this.
Mm-hmm.
So I know I wasn't the only one that witnessed this. I can tell you that.
Yeah, and there is that article that we can't find, right? I've looked online too. Reporter Dispatch.
We'll find it. It's in the archives, but I don't know what, I know somebody knows it and has it, but I don't know if she saved it or not. I'm going to find it. I'm going to try to find out through my friend Frank. That's very, very close. They're brothers of mine. I've known these. They probably wouldn't mind me saying their names, but Joey and Frank and Karen. I lived on Joyce Road in Hartsdale, and I've known them since I was 5 years old. So, and she was fascinated by the article, and I guess she remembered it, and she tried to look it up. And because she's a lawyer, and she was interested in contacting people for the high school reunions, because she's 5 years older than me. But there are always people always ask, how the Wims is, how when you go to a high school reunion, it's your 30th or 40th or 50th, people are always asking, and I guess she remembered that.
Vinny, did you and the kids ever talk about this again? Because I have to say, I never heard about it till last week. It's 40 years later, and
I did not after. I coached at Hastings High School. After Edgemont, I went to Hastings and coached wrestling there for 2 years. And we wrestled Edgemont. We were in the same league. I just switched schools because I was moving on to bigger and better things, and not because I didn't like the kids I was working with. I thought Hastings had had a bigger program, and I was offered more money to coach there.
Right, right,
Which wasn't much.
right.
But,
You guys mentioned it again? You talked about it?
After the match, they came up to me, Coach, what was that? What was that? I'll never forget that, Coach. You know, real polite kids, just great kids, you know. And I said, I don't know. I don't know.
Vinny, were there any sounds from this triangle?
None.
None.
The only sound that I heard were the sounds of the jets that were chasing it. And I'm surprised they didn't hit a sonic boom.
They were going that fast, the jets?
They were trying to follow it, but I don't know if they were slowed down by the object, but man, let me tell you, this thing was going slow and I wasn't intimidated. Let's put it that way. So it was either it looked like it was slow motion, but it must have been very fast because the jets couldn't catch up to it and they veered off. It
disappeared.
No, I heard everything about stealth bombers being developed at the time and being tested. I've seen a stealth bomber. This thing was bigger than a stealth bomber. You know, and I know that the triangular shape is the shape of the stealth bomber.
Right.
But the stealth bomber, the lights are totally different. They're all the same color.
Right, and this definitely
was stealth, whatever it was, because it was camouflaged in the clouds pretty good. Because I remember it was a gray sky that night. But I'm gonna, you know, now you got me itching, and I'm gonna do some more research and find exactly, because it was an Anonymous tournament, and somebody has to know when that was that year.
Right. Do you have any estimate of the size? When we were talking the other day, you said might have been as big as the Phoenix lights. Something that big?
Yeah, it was at least that size. That's a good judge of height. I'd say it had to be at least a football field, if not two.
1 or 2 football fields?
2 football fields.
Wow. Yeah. And the amazing thing here, Vinny, is we're talking about there's a book called Night Siege. I'm just going to hold it up on the camera here for the audience to see. And this was like the definitive book on the Hudson Valley UFO. It was written by J. Allen Hynek. And
I love that guy. I'm glad that he came out finally, and I've read his books, and he was always a debunker. He was if you watch what's on the History Channel now, Project Blue Book, those stories are fascinating.
Yeah, early on he was, and then he changed his mind because of all of the different encounters and witnesses.
There are neurophysicists and top doctors now. Dr. Stanley, what's his name? He's one of the biggest ones now. I watched a lot of, UFO hunters shows, and I'm very interested in it.
Well, the reason
things are getting better now because technology is getting better.
Well, the reason I'm bringing up this book, Night Siege, is they go through, sighting after sighting from the early 80s all the way up to 1995. But your sighting is several years. They say that the first sighting was March 24th, 1983 in this book.
No, before that. I read those. I read those. I've also seen all the debunking because I lived in Westchester, and I know what Westchester Airport is. Okay, folks, Westchester Airport, it was like a private type airport, and they said they were light aircraft. Light aircraft make noise, a lot of noise. If you ever heard of light aircraft, they make noise. Yeah, they can form formations that look like the lights of a UFO, or sometimes. And the blimps that they were developing back then were looking like UFOs, but they were. If you got closer, it was an advertisement from Budweiser, Miller Lite. They used to fly over stadiums, football stadiums, and freak out people, especially up in Buffalo and Brockport when I was up there. This isn't anything like that.
Mm-hmm. And at the slowest speed, when you originally saw it, would you say it was going, slower than a Cessna aircraft?
Slower than a jet circling an airport. One of my wives worked at United Airlines,
mm-hmm.
and my first wife, and I was very familiar with the flight patterns after a while, and I was always thinking of that. It kind of looks like one of our big bomb, the B-52 bombers.
Right.
Mm-hmm. You ever watch a modern movie, and I live in Monroe, North Carolina now. I'm right near an airport, and they do great aviation shows down there. They do reenactments of World War II. I'd say it was the speed of the B-17 back in the 1950s.
Slow B-17. And then it accelerated to faster than
then it disappeared.
And then it disappeared. That's the amazing thing here.
I don't know where it went, but a wormhole. We didn't know about these things back then.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't. But I'm watching a lot of TV and reading a lot of books now that I'm retired. So I'm catching up on, what fascinates me and delving into it more so now that I have the time to do it, keeping my mind active. And
right. Well, I got to say, on our chat room here, people are really, really enjoying your story. Do any of you have any questions for Vinny?
I'll be glad to answer anything they have.
Do you guys have any questions? Just go ahead and type them into the chat box. I know some of you must have some burning questions in your mind about what Vinny saw. I just have to say, I've talked to two other witnesses of the Hudson Valley UFO from the 80s later on, and what you saw was very similar to what they saw. It's just amazing that something was around there for years, that big, and that.
I think it's Doc. It's probably been around way before I was born, or whatever.
Yeah.
What I would love to know if this is a USO and not a UFO.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was definitely coming from the Long Island. It must have been coming from the Long Island Sound direction.
Oh, you're suggesting it could have come from under the water?
Yes, I am.
Wow, that's just my mind spinning now. Vinny, you got my mind really thinking.
It could have, Doc. I don't know. I can't prove it. I don't know.
And one more thing about it. I mean, your sighting, there's something really distinct about it, which is the lights go out. The lights that give it a triangular shape, green, orange, and red, they go out slowly over 10 to 15 seconds. It's kind of, and in its place are 8 bright, golden, blindingly bright lights.
Right. Yep.
Did it look like it had turned to face another? Was it on its side? You were seeing. Yeah.
It looked like it did a somersault, maybe, you know what I mean? Like a spin in the air and just go for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, Lord knows what it was doing.
Okay, here we got some questions here. Let me go ahead here. Okay, sure. So one person wants, people are really enjoying this. One person wants to know, what did you feel emotionally when you were looking at it?
I knew it was something that was not of this earth. I don't know why I knew that immediately, but I never saw anything like it.
Mm-hmm.
I just knew it was wow. And it was almost like, I know this is wacky and sound. almost like they were trying to communicate with me, and that's might have been why I had the headache I had all day long.
Okay.
And I'm not saying that because I never had an encounter, or I never believed. I don't believe I was ever abducted or anything like that. But why I was drawn to this has always been kind of disturbing to me, and also kind of fascinating to me, because I've done some definite what we call telepathic things in the past, and Doc, you and I talked about it on the phone privately, and you know, definitely know about things that have been done ESP wise and
Right.
astral traveling and stuff like that. But it had nothing to do with this. This was what I saw.
Did it? Someone wants to know: did it cast a shadow of any sort?
It looked like it blended into the clouds, like it was disguising itself.
Blended into the clouds. How long was the total sighting? Another viewer is asking.
Let me tell you this, Doc. It was a different color than the clouds behind it.
It was a different color than the clouds behind it. Okay.
Yes, that I did. That, but I didn't see any shape. It was a blacker. It was a blacker grayer or grayer than the clouds behind.
Sure.
In between the lights. Now maybe that was because the lights brightened up and something. It had a shape, but it didn't have a shape.
Right.
But I know it was a flat. It was like a flat black.
Flat black. Okay. Was the movement more natural or more mechanical? That's another viewer is asking that.
It was very smooth.
Very smooth.
It's effortless. I studied Tai Chi. If you ever watch somebody do Tai Chi, it was that speed.
Right.
Flawless. Without speed. Speed without speed. Effortless motion.
Effortless motion. Yeah, I think we can all understand what that's very interesting. And how long the entire period that you saw it, how long would that have been in terms?
Now that's a good question, Doc, because I don't know.
Okay.
Because that's what I'm talking about, the time suspension thing.
Mm-hmm.
It had to be 3 minutes, 3 to 4 minutes at least.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't really know. It could have been a lot longer than what I do know. I think the sighting was 6:58 p.m.
6:58 p.m. Okay, that's very specific.
Somewhere between 6:30 and 7 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it was closer to 6:53.
Okay.
Because the tournament was all day, and the kids wanted to get out of there. We're not going to keep. You're not going to keep kids in a wrestling tournament at 8 o'clock at night.
Mm-hmm. So another one of our viewers wants to know: did you have any feelings of missing time or any after?
Well, that's the only thing I could think of at that time. Okay. No, I didn't have any feeling of missing time. Actually, the only thing I wanted to do time-wise was get this written down and drawn.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember it, because I know this was a sighting. I knew it was a sighting. That I did know.
Mm-hmm. And anything, sometimes UFO encounters leave people with lingering psychic effects or other unexplained phenomena. Anything like that associated with it or not?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It definitely developed more psychic abilities in me. Now, whether they were going to be developed in me, a lot of people in my family have certain psychic abilities. But my sister had some. My mother, when she passed away, I don't know if it's an Irish thing, or Irish Catholic family and stuff. But a lot of things happened that, I became more aware. But I think I think that's through training in martial arts more than anything. Yeah, I think everybody can have those abilities. It's not. It's. I think. The problem is, I think we deaden our senses so much that we don't know we have those abilities.
Right. Yeah. We've got another couple questions here. One of our viewers.
Well, you and me, Doc. I'll answer any questions you want.
Yeah. So one of the viewers wants to know: can we see any drawing of your drawings of it?
I'm going to redraw it.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I wish I had the original oak tags. I don't know who has them. I don't know if the police had them or what, or one of the kids has it. But I know. Yeah, I kind of wish I had it. I hope it wasn't discarded. It may have been. But I had it filed, and I don't know. But I will redraw it.
And another,
I wish I could. You know, I live in North Carolina now. But now with emails and everything else, I'd really like to touch base with some of the other kids.
Yeah.
So they can make sure that I'm accurate in the drawing that I can draw, and maybe they could add what they saw, what they felt they saw, what they feel they saw. And it would be even better.
Yeah, that would be really helpful. So one last question here we have is the distance. I believe you said it was around 1,600 feet high in the air. So that's about how far away it would have been.
All I know is I lived in Sussex County, and since 2003, before I moved down here in June. So I watched plenty of sky jumpers because it's a big sky jumping, one of the best in New Jersey, up at the airport, right near the airport, in Sussex County, Sussex Airport. They have air shows there and everything. So I watched people jump out of planes and stuff. I'd say it was about that height. Yeah.
For skydivers and things like that.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Well, listen, Vinny, this was.
And I jumped out of a plane, so I
know what that is.
I know how. Yeah, I'd say it was pretty low, Doc. It wasn't high.
No, that's characteristic of the Hudson Valley UFO. Very low.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know it was a Hudson Valley sighting at the time.
Yeah, it didn't. No one knew about it.
I started hearing about it more and more. You know.
I mean, it sounds like yours was one of the first sightings of it because people had seen UFOs around there, different shapes, but that big.
Yeah, most of the other sightings were up in I believe Kingston and Pineville,
right? Right. It's just fascinating. Anything else that you want to add for us before we end our?
You know what? I got to thank you, Doc, because I've been wanting to talk to somebody about this. I wanted to talk to George Norrie. I wanted to talk on Coast to Coast. I've been wanting to talk about this and you know, so it stays fresh in my mind.
Right.
People know about this. This wasn't a sighting that was in a cornfield, folks. This was a suburban area that flew over, like the Phoenix sightings. This thing wanted to be seen, I guess. Yeah,
that's one of the densest populated areas in the United States, I would say, right north of New York City.
Yeah. You know it. You know it.
Yeah. Wow.
I didn't, I didn't see any passenger jets in the skies at the time either. So, it wasn't a passenger jet.
Right. It's LaGuardia is not very far from there.
I can't tell you if it was picked up on radar or not. If nothing has been leaked out yet.
Yeah, good question.
I'm sure it's a document. I'm sure it's documented because you wouldn't scramble two Phantom jets on something like this without them knowing about it. But it's coming. I think there's a base in Connecticut because I found out my brother was in the Air Force. He was a commander up in Buffalo, and during 9/11, he asked me, "Are you guys all right?" Because he lived in Buffalo, and I was living in Mahwah, New Jersey, with my wife Sunny, and I guess I found out that they scrambled from Connecticut during 9/11, the base, the jets that were finally, sent after 9/11 or during 9/11 came from Connecticut. So I guess that's where these jets came from, and that looked like the direction they were coming from.
Right. That you would imagine that thing would have returned a very large radar signature.
A blip or two, huh?
A blip or two. Wow. Well, listen, Vinny, thanks very much.
Oh, you're welcome, Doctor. I'm very glad that you're a friend of my friend Dominic, who I love very much.
Yeah.
He's like a brother to me, and we're all brothers. So you're my brother now. So
yeah.
Anytime I can reach out to you, or you need my help in anything for your book, you just feel free to call me.
Okay, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Vinny. Stay in touch, and we'll be looking for some drawings. How about that?
Absolutely, bro. You got it. Not a problem.
All right, you have a great rest of the day, and we'll talk to you soon, okay?
You too.
All right,
everybody, thank you. And
thanks, everyone.
I hope you understand this better.
Okay, thanks a lot, Vinny. Take care.
You got it. God bless.
Wow. Well, what a story, guys. That was something, and it's again, this same high school I was going to, those are people that I know from high school who saw it too, and yet I didn't hear about it till last week, 40 years later. So amazing, and so much we don't say about this. So thanks again, folks. Thanks for your questions, and yeah, it's awesome, really awesome. Take care for now, guys, and we'll see you soon. Take care, and bye-bye.